everybody doing today? Good. Doing pretty good? Okay, we are in week, 5 right now? Week 5, and everything, week 4, we're in week 4. Everything going pretty good? Going pretty good? Let me hear you, Everything going pretty good? All right. I want to share with you guys a story, and I'm thank you so much for the opportunity of coming to hang out with you guys for a while. I want to share with you a story from April 20th, 1999. It was actually the worst high school shooting in the history of America. And it took place in Columbine High School, which is about 25 miles south of Denver, Colorado. On that tragic day, 12 students, along with one teacher, were brutally gunned down by 2 of their own classmates, 2 of their own students who afterwards turned the guns on themselves and committed suicide. Rachel Scott was the first student that was killed that day. Before we go on further, I want to ask a question. How many of you guys, maybe in the last 2 years, you've lost a friend or a loved one? I want to see your hands if you do that. I'm raising my hand because I just lost a loved one as well. Today, I want to dedicate this presentation not only to the memory of Rachel, but also the memory of the person that you love and that you lost. I want you guys to see what took place and what happened on that tragic day. Let me say something first as we continue to go forward is that we haven't come here to Napa Middle School because we're thinking that something like this is going to happen, and we're going to see another Columbine just all of a sudden here happening at Napa Middle School. In fact, we're not here to talk about necessarily how Rachel died. We're here to talk about how she lived and how her life caused a big difference in so many different people's lives. Rachel, she was a middle child. I can relate. I'm a middle child. I have an older brother and a younger sister. Rachel had 2 older sisters. This is Dana and Bethany, along with Rachel right here. And she had 2 younger brothers. She had Mike right over here, and then of course there's Rachel, and then her younger brother, Craig. This is a picture of Rachel with her mom, Beth. And here is a picture right here of Rachel with her dad, Daryl Scott, along with his wife, Sandy Scott, who is Rachel's stepmom. Both Daryl and Sandy are the founders of Rachel's Challenge. And although Rachel's story has touched the lives of millions of people all over the world, I personally never got a chance to meet Rachel. But her family is really connected, and we've connected and just become really connected and close over the last couple of years. And here's a picture of me hanging out with them just this past summer, and they're all grown up. Here's a picture, of course, with Craig and I and our little cool B-boy stance. You know, we like to look hard every now and then, like, ha! Oh. It worked. But here, Rachel, she was a writer. Rachel was a writer. She loved to write. She loved to put down her thoughts and her ideals in journals all the time, her hopes and her dreams. Today, her writings are touching the lives of millions of people. She never even had a clue or a thought that her ideas, her thoughts, her dreams would touch so many people. And so I want to challenge you, if you don't journal right now, guys and girls, it would be a great way just to get some of your ideas, some of your thoughts out to start to journaling. Rachel, she had no idea that she would be sitting, that you would be sitting here today listening to some of the ideas and things that she wrote about. And in fact, one of her things that she wrote about was a month before she died. She was in a 5th period class, and she wrote an essay for a 5th period class that she titled My Ethics and My Codes of Life. And in this, she challenged her readers to start what she called a chain reaction of kindness and compassion. Check out what she said. A young brother, as you heard earlier, his name's Craig. Craig was actually at the school at Columbine. He was a student there as well, and he was in the library where most of the shootings took place. Craig was hanging out with 2 of his best friends, both Matt and Isaiah. Both of them were on the football team, and Craig was on the wrestling team. So they were in the library, and pretty sure you know what they were talking about. They were hanging out just talking about sports. When all of a sudden they heard outside of the library what sounded like firecrackers going off. Fireworks just pop, pop, pop. And they didn't pay too much attention to it. They thought it was maybe some seniors pulling pranks. It's the first day of spring. It's nice outside. Someone's pulling a prank. So they kept going on talking. Later on, Craig would find out that those pops were the actual gunshots that were killing his sister. Suddenly the teacher screamed for everyone to get up underneath the tables. Get under the table, something's going on. And so they didn't know completely what was going on, so they got up under the tables, and immediately Eric and Dylan come in shooting their guns. At that moment, Craig said that he saw 10 of his fellow students, along with 27 others, wounded, but 10 of his fellow students all gunned down. And he said it was so surreal, so scary to see underneath the table and watch people walking, watch the gunman walking from one table to the next, taking people out. He said what was even worse was when he saw them walk towards his table. And he said at that moment, 2 of Craig's best friends were gunned down by these 2 gunmen. Fortunately for Craig, he escaped out of that situation unharmed, or the Scott family would be mourning 2 losses instead of 1. Basically what happened was that when the smoke bombs went off, the fire extinguishers started, and the sprinklers came down, and water started coming down, and the gunmen, they walked out of the library and went into other rooms to go find other kids to kill. I want you to hear a little bit from Craig as he talks about what happened to him that day. I want to share with you 5 challenges from Rachel's life and her writings that will have an impact on your life. However, this first challenge, it comes not only from Rachel, but it also comes from Rachel's brother, Craig. See, Craig watched his friend Isaiah gunned down in the last seconds of his life, being taunted with racial slurs. When Craig told me about this, he said, "Friend, as many places as you go to, as many people as you talk to, could you please challenge them to get rid of any type of prejudice that they may have in their hearts towards people that are not like them?" Craig said he saw prejudice at his worst that day. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been challenged by Craig, challenged by Rachel to get rid of it, examine myself. What type of prejudice do I live by, do I see and I have in my life? And now, many times you hear the word prejudice, and prejudice simply means to prejudge, to judge someone before you get a chance to know them. And when you look at it that way, I know when I look at it that way, I've seen plenty of times in my life where I've been prejudiced against someone. Now, I've never been prejudiced against someone based on the color of their skin. Because I personally have experienced that, and I'll tell you, it doesn't feel good. But there have been plenty of times where I've seen someone, maybe their hairstyle that they have, or the way that they wear their clothes, the clothes that they wear, or the way that they walk, or, I am from Texas, so the way that they talk, We're from Texas, so everybody else sounds weird. But I'll look at someone and I'll listen to them, or I'll see them, don't even know them, but immediately I'll think, okay, this person's like this, or that person's like that, and I do want to hang out with them, or I don't want to hang out with them. I don't know, am I the only one, or has anybody else here ever felt that? You've seen somebody, and immediately you think, weird, don't want to hang out with you, or you're like, I'm going to hang out with them, and you don't even know them, right? I mean, there's been times where I'll leave a movie theater, or I'll look at television, and then all of a sudden I'll see someone in real life, and I think, oh, that's just like that person, and I don't even know them, That's such a wrong way to live and to think. And Rachel, she gave us a really great formula that works for her, and I'll tell you what, I've been practicing it. It works for me, and I know that it'll work for you if you put it to practice. Rachel said this, she said, it wasn't until recently that I learned that the first and the second and the third impressions can be deceitful of what kind of person someone is. Let me ask you something. Did you look into their soul and not just their appearance? Until you know them and not just their type, you have no right to shun them. You have not looked for their beauty, for their good. Then she went on to say this. I love it. She said, look hard enough and you'll always find the light. And you can even help that light grow if you don't walk away from those 3 impressions first. So in essence, what she was saying was this, was look for the best in others. 6 simple words. That's your first challenge, is to look for the best in others. What would Napa Middle School be like if everyone would just look for the best in others? I'll tell you one thing. First, immediately, is that we would be able to eliminate prejudice. Because when you look for the best in others, you can eliminate prejudice. In fact, everybody finds what they're looking So if you're looking for the worst in someone, I guarantee you can hang out with me for a little, it won't take long. If you're looking for the worst in me, you'll find it. But if you're looking for the best in me, I'm looking for the best in you, I'll find that also, because you find what you're looking for. And what's interesting also is that people tend to respond to the expectations that you put out in front of them. How many of you guys have friends, maybe in your life, maybe in your family, maybe in this room, okay? Right now, don't look at it, okay? But you have friends that if you hang out with them, you know they just bring out the worst in you. You just know that it's like, I'm not hanging out with you during test time because it's not going to get done. They're here, okay? Well, on the same sense, how many of you guys have friends in your life, maybe in your family, maybe in this room as well, that if you hang out with them, they bring out the best in you. They just bring out the best in you. Right? You see? What an incredible power that we have when we look for the best in others, we're able to help pull that best out. So that's your first challenge, is look for the best in others. Let me show you something. This is a picture of Mike along with Rachel. This is Rachel's younger brother, Mike. Mike was in the 8th grade. He was in middle school the day that Rachel died. I want you to hear a little bit from Mike as he talks about the memories of his sister. It really did change his life because she refused to see him as a bully, but just saw him as a regular person, and she really treated him with kindness. And so he said, Mr. Scott, when you go to different schools, and especially when you go to middle schools, just remind everybody, tell them to just treat people the way you want others to treat them. So here's our second challenge right now is this, simply this: treat others the way you want to be treated. Now, once again, think about this. Think about Napa Middle School. What would it look like if everyone just lived by this rule right here, this challenge, to treat others the way we would want to be treated? You know what? I'll tell you what, man, it would be incredible. I mean, think about it. You're walking down the hall, and you got a bunch of books, and you can't open the door. Someone would open the door for you because they would treat you the way that they want to be treated. I mean, you're hanging out there, and all of a sudden you kind of got something in your nose that you don't know. You got it out there, and it's just waiting for everybody. Somebody will come and say, bro, you need to go on the Lowe's maintenance right there. Why? Because they treat you the way you want to be treated. So let's all say that together. Let's see if you can say it. Treat others. Pretty good, pretty good. I think you can do a little bit better than that. Let me hear it one time. Treat others. Very good. Treating others the way you want to be treated. Our school, your school, could be a wonderful place that people would want to come to and want to be there because of that. Let me show you something else. This is pretty cool. This is Rachel's diary, the front cover of her diary. This was the last diary that Rachel had the day that she was killed. And on the cover it writes that she said, I write not for the sake of glory, not for the sake of fame, not for the sake of success, but for the sake of my soul. Rachel Joy. Person who really inspired Rachel to write and to keep journals was Anne Frank. How many of you guys heard of Anne Frank? Anybody here? Oh yeah. Anne Frank, she was a young girl, a teenager also, who died during World War II because of a German leader by the name of Adolf Hitler. And his prejudice towards people who were not like him. Adolf Hitler, he was a man that was responsible for Anne's death, but not only Anne's death, but also for over 6 million Jewish people. Millions of people were tortured, were hunted down. They were put into chains, starved, tortured to death, and murdered. Anne Frank, along with her mother, along with her sister, all three of them died in these both places. Ironically, both Rachel and Anne Frank died because of the influence of Adolf Hitler. Because the young shooters, they chose Adolf Hitler's birthday to actually do the killing. Rachel, she was killed on Hitler's birthday because they chose that day. But see, Rachel, she chose positive influences like Anne Frank to follow. Anne Frank was not the only role model in Rachel's life. In fact, the whole concept of chain reaction, that ideal that she came up with, she may have borrowed it from another influence in her life, and that's none other than Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said in one of his famous letters, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. chain reaction of evil must be broken. You know what's so cool about that is you have almost like two different generations talking about this. You have one generation that identifies the pain, identifies the hate, and says this is the racism, the bigotry, the hatred, that's a chain reaction of evil and it must be broken. And then you have the next generation that comes along and says that's right, and the way that we can break that is by doing something that's stronger, that's starting something that's stronger than hatred, than stronger than bigotry, that's stronger than racism, and that's a chain reaction of kindness. Rachel really would have been thrilled to know that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s son, Martin Luther King III, actually spoke in honor of Rachel's memory at the first year anniversary of Rachel's death. This leads me to our third challenge today, and that is to choose positive influences. Let me see if let me see you say that. Let me hear you there. Choose. Very good. Thank you so much. Choose positive influences. You know, Rachel, she chose positive influences. These were folks that shaped the way she thought, the way she did things, and it made a difference in her life. And I'm challenging you to do the same. Choose positive influences, because the choices that you make today determine who you become tomorrow. In fact, talking about becoming a certain type of a person, there was a certain type of a person at Rachel's school. Her name was Val, and Val was known by everyone as the school bully. Okay, she went around and she always got into fights every day. She even fought guys. Okay, so Sister Girl was pretty hardcore. Okay, she was even fighting guys, and she got into trouble for drugs all the time. But Rachel treated her with kindness every time she saw her. In fact, many times she'd see her in the hallway, and Val later on told the Scott family that even 5 or 6 times she would try to be mean to Rachel, and Rachel just overcame her meanness with kindness. To the point that Val actually said her kindness was much stronger than my meanness. Listen to Val's words. You know what? That was a big part of Rachel's legacy. That last part that Val said, she wanted me to be a better person. And that's what it's about. It's a huge part of her legacy. Rachel helped people and helped people want to become better. Short time after Rachel's funeral, her dad went to her grave, and she would often just go to her gravesite just to kind of think and just kind of, just be there. And he saw this guy who was pouring out these gallons of water, like, the gallon of bottles of water. He was pouring out these gallons of water on Rachel's gravesite, onto the grass and onto the flower from the plants. And so Daryl just kind of watched him for a while. Then eventually he went over to him and he said, "Hey, did you know my daughter? Were you a friend to my daughter?" And he said, "Well, I don't know if you can really call it friends. I only met your daughter one time, and she sure was friendly and a friend to me." And he went on to share his story. His name was Austin, and Austin was a local DJ in Denver. And he said, "I was working that day and kind of had a really bad day. In fact, I almost got fired. I got chewed out from my boss. I was there at work, doing some work, and things didn't work out right. I was just having a really terrible day, so I left early, but by the time I left for work, it already had gotten dark, and it was getting dark outside, and I was driving, and all of a sudden it starts raining, and then that rain starts turning to snow, and it's just like a terrible day. I almost get fired. I get chewed out. It's raining. It's dark. And to make things worse, he got a flat. He's like, oh man, and he pulls over to the side of the road. Now it's dark, it's cold, it's wet, it's raining. He's got a flat, doesn't have an umbrella, doesn't have a flashlight. And then all of a sudden, this young girl comes up by the name of Rachel. Let me let you hear what he says.
It was cold, it was rain, snow mix coming down, dark, when the little red Acura pulled out. And the teenage girl in there asked if I needed any help.
Austin went on to say that, he was in a bad mood. I mean, he almost got chewed out, bad day, got a flat, he's out there changing it, and then all of a sudden this bubbly teenage girl comes up, "Hey, how you doing? Do you need any help?" And he was like, he was in a bad mood. He's like, "No, I want to be angry." Okay? And he said that she just stopped and pulled on the side of the road. Now, let me put a pause. We're not advocating that you pull on the side of the road and try to help someone that you don't know or a stranger, but I just love thinking about this scene here. She pulls on the side of the road, she gets her own umbrella out and her own flashlight, because she saw that he didn't have a flashlight. And so she points the flashlight at his tire so he can see what he's doing in the dark. And then she puts her own umbrella over him so he can change his tire. He said it took about 15 minutes, and by the time he was done, he was in a good mood. He was bubbly like her. Later on, he went on to dinner, and he hung out with some of his friends. And he said, you know what? I don't know if there's such thing as angels, but an angel had to stop me today because no one would stop me. I was having a terrible day, and this young girl just comes, pulls to the side of the road, and helps me out. 2 weeks later, Columbine happens. In the morning after Columbine, he picked up the paper, and he looked, and he realized that this was not an angel. It was a young teenage girl.
You know, and
Austin said he did go to the funeral. He went down to the funeral and sat there and he saw all of these people, all the places. He went down at the end of the funeral. He went down to Rachel's casket and put his hands on Rachel's casket and he made a vow that he was going to repay that act of kindness the rest of his life. That's what he said.
that's when I decided at her funeral that I was going to change my life and start helping people and not being so selfish, and to take up her torch.
And he's done just that over the past 12 years. He's taken his entire family over to developing countries to help out children, to help people. He takes his sons out to go shovel up snow when it's snowing for senior citizens without charge. He's just helping people. What's really funny, he said that it's always inevitable. Sometimes I feel like I never should have met Rachel because every time I'm late, I'm driving and I see someone on the side of the road and I'm like, oh, I gotta go. You know, and he knows it helps him out because he hears that little voice of Rachel saying, hey, you can help someone out. Cool thing is that a couple of years ago, Austin and his wife were inviting the Scotts to the hospital because they just had a brand new baby girl. And I don't know, Napa Middle School, can you guys guess what they decided to name this little girl? Right. That's right. You guys got it. That's right. They named her Rachel. In fact, Mr. Scott, Daryl Scott says that there are about 25 other little Rachels running around out there. Kids that were named after Rachel, and they all call in every now and then and say, hey, this is what's going on with our kid. This is what's going on with our daughter. And but what's cool about this particular story is, I mean, look at that little baby. You think she's so cute? Right? It's cute. And you know what's cool is one day that little baby girl is going to grow up. She's going to be in middle school, right? And then after that, she'll grow on up and she'll be grown. Who knows? She might get married, have little kids. Maybe her kids will have kids. One day, that little bitty baby girl is going to be old enough. Maybe she might even be a grandma. She'll be a little cute, sassy grandma. Okay. But can't you see her sharing her story with her grandchildren, saying, "Baby, this is how I got my name." And she says, "You know, my dad was on the side of the road, all by himself, and he was needing help, and some brave teenager decided to come up and help him, and that's how I got my name." See, that's cool because that chain reaction will just continue for generations. Rachel, she wanted to impact millions, and she has impacted millions of people through her story. And there are 3 people who really were touched by her story directly, and I wanted you to check out 3 of those people. One was her teacher, another one was one of her mentors, and the 3rd one was one of her close friends. Check this out. Now, I like what her teacher said, that I never saw or heard Rachel speak any unkind words to anyone. Wow, what a great way to live. And I'm going to share with you, this is our 4th challenge to you today. Let's say it loud. Let me hear you say it. Speak. Oh, you guys can do better than that. Let me hear you. Come on, Napa Middle School. Speak. Speak words of kindness, not cruelty. You know why? Because words can hurt and words can heal. Words affect the ways that we feel. I bet you guys can finish this one for me. Sticks and stones make great brothers, baby. Words will never hurt me, right? Right? Really? Really? Well, wait a minute. Let's think about this. Because sticks and stones, they pretty much will break bones. But bones can heal. Words, though, words stick with you and they stay with you forever. You know, and what's cool, what's the interesting about this is that, you know, you guys are like experts with words. You're middle schoolers, okay? You guys are experts with words. You know what needs to be said, and what to say, and how to say it, and who to say it to, and just what to say. Bam! You just say it. You know what to say. It's just so great with words. But what if you take that same expertise, that same power, and say what needs to be said, to whom it needs to be said, how it needs to be said, to help someone? It's kind of hurting. Because once again, let's say it again, words can hurt and words can heal. Words affect the way we feel. Rachel, she wanted to start this chain reaction of kindness, and she's done just that.
So do it.
This right here is a picture of Rachel with her older sister, Dana. And shortly after Rachel died, Dana got a chance to appear on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and she shared a little bit about her last memories of time with her sister, Rachel. You know, it's looking at me, you know, it's just, I don't know what that is. Well, if there was any day that was the worst day to get into an argument with your sister, for Craig, it would be April 20th, 1999. That's just what happened. She got to listen to Craig as he shares his last memory with his sister. I want to ask everyone, could you within yourself, one moving around, the one disturbing anyone next to you, please. So I want to leave you a final challenge. And I want you to be honest. There are some of you in this room who have done some things that you can't possibly go back and change. Go back and undo. And just like Craig, you find yourself kicking yourself, beating yourself over and over again, beating yourself up, just saying, man, why did you do that? Why did you do that? You shouldn't have done that. And you can't get out of this loop of just looking back. Just like Craig said, he said, I realized that Rachel would have forgiven me. But what I had to do is I had to forgive myself. So I want to challenge you to forgive yourself. If that's you, that you just keep on going back to the past and what happened, and you can't get past it, then you need to let yourself free. And it's as simple as counting 1, 2, 3. In fact, we'll do it right now, and I'll do it with you. I'll count to 3, and you just release it. Forgive yourself, regardless of what happened. 1, 2, 3. Just forgive yourself. Then there's a group of people here also who you may have done some things that are wrong. Maybe you got caught up in some gossiping or caught up in bullying or treating someone wrong. And now you've treated them a certain way. And you need to go back. You need to go to that person and connect with them and get things right. You need to make it right. And God, I want to challenge you that before this week ends, today, tomorrow, Saturday, before it's over, 3 days, go and find that person and apologize. Get things back together. Patch things up. Because time is too short. The third group of people, this may be the hardest one. But you're maybe hearing, someone may have been bullying you. You may have been the person that was bullied or talked about or gossiped on. And for some reason you knew, and now it really still hurts because you can't get past what they did and what they said and what happened. And you won't let that go. And I know it was wrong. I know it hurt. But I'm going to ask you to forgive them, to let that go. Because you won't be able to go forward in your life and move on by holding on to what someone else did. Now, I'm not saying that you should just lay down and let people run over you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't report if something is going wrong. Yes, you should defend yourself, report. But what I am saying is don't let what someone did in the past to you run you, ruin you, rule over you. said unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping the person that hurts you, hoping they die from the poison that you drink. Unforgiveness just doesn't work. So if that's you, I want to ask you to forgive that person. Once again, this is as easy as 1, 2, 3. I'll do it with you. Count to 1, 2, 3. That's it. Forgive them. And I want to ask you to open your eyes. If either one of those 3 challenges that I put out, whether it's forgiving yourself, forgiving others, or asking for forgiveness, that you say, I'm going to take that challenge. I want to see your hands. I want to see your hands. On behalf of the Scott family and the Rachel's Challenge, we see that as an extension of the chain of action of kindness, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I want to briefly go over the 5 challenges that we talked about. First of all, we said to look for the best in others. There's always a light. There's always something that's good in others that you can find if you look for it. So look for the best in others. Number 2, we said treat others the way you want to be treated. Treat others the way that you want to be treated, and you can't go wrong by treating people that way. Then 3, we said choose positive influences. The choices that you make today will determine who you'll become tomorrow. So choose positive influences. Number 4, so important, we said speak with words of kindness. Words can heal or words can hurt. Choose words that heal. And number 5, we said start your own chain reaction by going and I'm sorry, we said forgive. We said forgive yourself and forgive others. Forgive yourself and forgive others. Forgive yourself and forgive others. Today, a little bit later on, we're going to be starting a Friends of Rachel's Club. And this is a special training that we're doing today. And then the club will go on way after I'm gone because you're going to run it. We're going to have a middle school and a high school get together, and we're going to put together this club. How you can take this to the next level, how you can see this entire community now and all surrounding be made difference, be impacted by this same type of impact here. And so we want to encourage you to be a part of it. If you don't get chosen for the training today, then don't worry, you still will be called on. If you want to join the club, we'll have room for you. You'll be able to join it, but we will have a select few that will do the training today. And then later on tonight, we're having a community event in the auditorium. We want to encourage you guys to come back. Bring your parents. Bring as many people as you can. Go to Starbucks. You guys have Starbucks here, right? All right, go to Starbucks and find somebody you don't even know and say, you got to come to Rachel's Challenge, okay? Go there wherever you can go. Go to your next school. Go and hang out. Go with your families. All your friends. Go and let them know. And definitely your enemies, they need to be here too, okay? As many people as you can find, let them come. We want to pack the place out and have a great time. We're going to talk more about some of the same stories as well as some different new stories about what happened in Rachel's life and how it makes an impact. So how many of you guys are going to make the effort to come? Let me see. Anybody here? All right. Great. We're going to have a great time. We want to encourage you guys to come. Finally, if you want to stay connected with us and you want to keep this conversation going, you can do it. Just go out to our website, rachelschallenge.org, or you can hit us if you by any chance have a Facebook account. Then go on and hit us up at Facebook.com/Rachel's Challenge, and we'll be there for you. Once again, now middle school, thank you guys so much for a great day. You guys are incredible. Have a wonderful year. Thank you so much.